Welcome again at Dezer Gymnastics Training Center here in North Miami. Today we're going to follow through a little bit with what we did last week on tumbling. And we're going to do back walkovers, back handsprings, round of back handsprings, and hopefully finish with front handsprings. Next to me is Amanda. She's going to demonstrate for us today. So Amanda, let's first start with the back walkover part. So lay down on your back and bridge up to a bridge. Now you're going to jump your feet off the floor and straighten those knees in the air. And straighten. Very good. This is so that the shoulders learn how to rock over when they do the back walkovers. Rock and roll, lay on your back. And that's to stretch your back, okay? Next is we're gonna go over here to the wall. You're gonna stand like a little bit away from the wall. You can straddle your legs if you need to. You're gonna reach your hands backwards to the wall and walk your hands all the way down to the floor. And then you walk your hands all the way back up. And push your hips forward and finish on toes. Very good. And come back to the middle over here. Then we're gonna do a bridge and we're gonna kick our legs over. Okay, so lay down on your back, bridge up to a bridge, lift one leg up in the air and kick over. Now the important part with this is that we push our shoulders over. So let's do that again. Now you're gonna rock 3 times, and the 3rd time you're gonna kick both feet over at the same time. So bridge up to a bridge, rock 1, 2, and kick over. Very nice. Okay. So those are just drills to make sure that they feel like that everything needs to lean over the hands, and then she needs to tighten up. You can go to your feet or to a push-up position. It doesn't really matter. Okay. Now we're going to go to the back bend. The best way to spot back bends for me as a teacher is to grab the hips so I can control her and the shoulder blades. So I put or here or there. I like a little bit higher because she's a little bit taller. I want you to reach your hands backwards, and I can guide her down to her hands safely, okay? And then she can do the 3 rocks and jump her feet over or 1 leg over, 2 and kick over. Very good. Excellent. Now that I've done it with help, we're gonna teach her how to do it with like a mat so that she becomes more independent. So I'm gonna reach this mat over here. You're gonna stand right here. You're gonna reach backwards with your hands landing on the mat. In the beginning, I can help her first so that everything's safe. I'll hold her hips this time. Go ahead, reach backwards. So nice and soft so she doesn't crash on her head. Very important. Stand back up. That'd be ideal. Normally, it's just lay on your back, stand up, and then move on to the next part. Now I want her to do it by herself, so you're gonna reach your hands. Start with a little straddle at first, because these kids normally, they need a little bit more balance. I want you to reach your hands backwards, but push your hips a little bit forward. Reach backwards, forward. And then she rocks landing on her hands. So it's very safe, very controlled. You don't want to just tell them, just do a back bend, okay? Because that's not enough information. You really want to make sure that she knows that the hips have to go a little bit forward before her hands go back to stay in balance, to keep her center of gravity there. When we do back walkovers, that's when you control in the beginning and then she falls over, okay? So now that we've done it with this, she can stand actually on my mat and do it by herself. You can straddle your legs or feet together. That's up to her now because she's now familiar with going back bend. Go ahead, reach and land in that bridge. She's very flexible, so it's no problem for her. Lay down on your back, rock and roll. Make sure that in between that they stretch their backs, else they go home and then the next day they feel it in their backs and it's very painful, okay? Now that she's done that and she's practiced that for the next couple of classes, we can do the back walkover. So the first thing we could do is do a back bend and then kick over, but I think we need to step over to the next part already because we have done the back bend with our feet together. We have jumped our feet over together. So now it's 1 foot in front of the other. Arms by her ears. The most important part is that her hips are above her foot. We don't want to start here because if you start here, you make the circle small and it's harder to land on your hands. By making sure that the hips are above her foot, it's a bigger circle and it's easier to go around. So I just grab my hand on her hip, other hand on her leg that kicks over secondly, and you want to reach your hands backwards. Go ahead. As soon as her hands touch, she kicks her legs over. All I do is I make sure that I do that same rocking motion on her arms so that I push her shoulders over. What she needs to do once she pushes over is tightening her belly to step back down. So let's try again. I'm spotting a little bit lighter. Pull your hands, pull your shoulders, push over and land. Very nice. She's gotten to the point where now, okay, she does it great, like I don't have to spot anymore, and she can try it by herself. The only thing I do is I tell her, start tall, chin up, pull your hands backwards, push your shoulders over, and finish in a lunge. Very nice. Okay, so that's all about back walkovers. Any questions about back walkovers that you might have? It takes some practice for these kids. The bridge in the beginning, jumping your feet off the floor is very important. The rocking your shoulders is very important so that they understand, hey, that's what the action is later on, okay? Now let's go to the back handspring. So the first thing we're gonna do is use this big mat again. And I want you to come and stand in front of the mat, right over here. And I want you to jump as far back onto the mat. See if you can get all the way to your ankles on the edge of the mat. One sec, let me straighten the mat. Go ahead. Jump as far back as you can. Okay, so she got to her calf muscles. I would like her to go to her ankles. The mat is pretty low. You can make it also higher, but this is about where she wants to be. It's about at hip height or lower that I want that mat to be. If it's too high, they jump too high and then they impact too much on their hands. Okay? So jump as far back as you can. Really aggressive. Got a little bit further, so now at her ankles. I think you can jump one more time and get your feet on the mat by really being aggressive and using those arms and jumping hard. Scoot a little bit forward because that helps. Now really aggressive, go as hard as you can and jump hard. Okay, she bounced a little bit back, so it's okay. Now stay there on the mat because that's the jumping part. A back handspring is nothing but a big jump, good arm swing for rotation, and the right direction. So she has to go in a 45-degree angle jumping backwards and then jump really hard with her legs to create enough height and speed. But the arms create the circular motion of the back handspring. So she's gonna bend her knees. She's gonna swing her arms from by her ears, by her hips, back by her ears, and all the way down 10 times. Ready? Fast. 1, 2, faster, backwards. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're not only practicing our height of the jump now we're practicing that there has to be an arm swing in the back handspring, okay? Because that's very important. So the next part for the back handspring is that they have to be able to go from their hands to a push-up position because that's part of the next drills that we're gonna do, okay? So I want you to kick up to a handstand and slowly lower down to a push-up position. I just hold her legs and push-up position. I don't want her to pike down. As soon as she pikes down, it's gonna be too much impact on the ankles, it's gonna hurt. So really squeeze, be hollow, and go to your feet. I'll let you go this time, okay? So handstand, hollow down, push-up position. Low impact, not a bad thing, but I right away create shapes that I need later on for the back handspring. Then the other part is they have to snap off their hands later on to their feet. That's the second part of the slow part first. So you're gonna kick up to a handstand on the panel mat, you're gonna hang a little bit in your back, and you're gonna snap to your feet. I just control the handstand and she snaps to her feet. Everything hollow, and then I'm gonna tell her, make the letter S. So I really wanna make sure that I'm in this shape when I land. Okay, so do it again. Good, not bad. So there's two different ways. You have the elite way of gymnastics, you've got the recreational way of gymnastics. An elite way would be where their legs are almost straight and they bounce more on the floor. For recreational, I suggest, and I really teach, bending your legs and jumping for your back handspring, especially when you make combinations of run or back handspring. Very important that they learn to use their legs to get enough height, okay? So I want you to do this. I want you to do a handstand snap down, bounce up onto the panel mat, okay? That's more for the elite way, to be reactive to the floor while they're doing the round over the back handsprings, okay? So do a handstand snap down, bounce up. Snap and bounce up. Okay, so she didn't snap in enough, so she didn't get up on the panel mat yet. She has to be more aggressive, so let's try again. Now you do the handstand, I'm stepping away. And snap, bounce. Good, that's already better. You can also have it go sideways of the panel mat and bounce over. Really simple drills. It's the same practice, you just want to put it again in a different jacket where it looks like, oh, we're doing something different, but it's not, okay? Now we're going to the second part of the back handspring, or the first part actually, where they learn to jump backwards, okay? Now, depending on the height of the gymnast, you would use a barrel or not. I'm looking at her, she's very aggressive. I think she can make it to this barrel, so I want you to step away from the barrel. You don't want to be close to the barrel. You want to be giving it a little bit of space so that she learns to jump up and backwards. If I put it too close, she jumps straight up and falls on the mat and nothing happens to the barrel. I want the barrel to help her roll to her hands. My job as a coach is to make sure that her legs don't go over right away until the hands touch. So jump to your back. Hands touch first and send your toes over. Now you notice, like, this is safe. I know she can do it now. I'm gonna turn the mat, and the reason why I'm turning the mat because I want only the barrel to be as high as the height of the hips, but the landing areas to be more realistic to where she started from. So the only thing I do is just turn this mat around, or I turn the barrel. I do this right now for the camera. You come over here. And I make sure I put it somewhere in the middle because her hands will land hopefully there. So scoot to the edge now. Do the same thing. Hands on the floor. I stop her, and now I want her to go to a push-up position. Squeeze your butt. That's the handstand to a push-up position that we practice. Now try that again, and you're gonna land by yourself to that push-up position. I still control the legs so she doesn't go over right away. Hands first, then feet to push-up position. Very nice. Now, if I want her to do the snap down like I did over there, I'm gonna see if I can do it with the hands on the mat so she has that lowest function to her feet. So I want you to do the same thing, but snap to your feet. Now you have to move a little bit forward. Jump to your back. Hands down and snap to your feet. Okay? To that letter S at first, and then we can move on from there, okay? So she's got this. Now I need to spot her on the regular floor because she's done the drills. The barrel's been my friend. I really helped her keeping it safe. Now it's for her to feel like, oh, what's a real back handspring? So scoot a little bit forward. I'm gonna switch this mat out because we're not gonna use this right now. You don't need the barrel. And you come right over here. Beginner back handspring, I make sure that I spot her fully. So arms by your ears, bend your knees, hollow body, jump backwards into my arms. I spot her and put her on her hands. She goes to her push-up position first. It's slow motion. Russian philosophy, we talked about this. Start slow, build up the speed when they get more experience. Let's try that one more time. Arms by your ears, bend your knees, round your back, jump backwards into my arms. And push-up position. She forgot the push-up position, okay? And this happens a lot. Like, they just want to land on their feet because there's so much to remember, okay? Now, I want to control more the jumping backwards to her hands. I can do this. I'm experienced with this. This is something you have to do with a partner, okay? What I do is that I put my hand on her lower back. My other hand is going to grab the ankle, but not until she jumps backwards. Go ahead. We're jumping to a handstand. Go ahead. And I put her in the handstand. Squeeze your butt, push-up position. So I have a lot more control than the other one as well, okay? Because now I control the technique of where she needs to be when she hits her hands in a handstand. It's not perfect handstand. It's a leaning handstand that has motion going over. And in that motion, we start from the arch and go to a hollow. That's called the courbette technique, where it's an arch hollow technique or a hollow arch technique, okay? So let's try that again. And I'll let you go even more. And push up, okay? Now we see motion going on. Now I can stop her a little bit and toss her to her feet, okay? So I'm gonna stop you in the hands and I'm gonna toss you over to your feet, not to a push-up. And then from here, squeeze and hollow to your feet. Arms should always stay by her ears, okay? You definitely have to be strong enough to do this, or again, do this with a partner, okay? Don't use any kids to help you spot. Only use professionals, and that's us, okay? So let's try again. Now she knows what it feels like again. I want you to finish with your arms more by your ears, okay? Jump to a handstand. Squeeze and snap. Very nice. If you don't feel comfortable with them landing on their feet and be safe, you can put a mat behind it, a big wheel mat or a regular 8-inch mat to keep it safe. Okay, so there was a question before about body shapes. Like, it's very important that they understand what a hollow body shape is. So it's very plain and simple. I want you to go to your elbows and feet and move your feet back a little bit and squeeze. This is the hollow shape I want. I first do it on the elbows because the elbows already limits us to arching our back. Okay, it's very hard to do this. It's much more comfortable to do it like that, okay? So now from here, go to your hands and hold that same shape. You can have your shoulders a little bit forward, that's okay, but hollow shape, okay? Now if I want to make it even harder for them, I can tell them, move your hands forward, but leave your feet where they are. And that's called an extension position. Go even more if you can. And for the very advanced, go even more. This can go all the way where there's maybe a little bit of space in between the hips and the floor, okay? If they're not strong enough like that, plain and simple, you can be on your hands and knees like this, and you can say like, make a cat's back. And in preschool, sometimes we teach that, and make an arch back, okay? So that they learn to curl their hips under, because that's all that is. It's a hollow curl your hips under action instead of arching out, okay? So it starts with preschool, and then we bring it into the class. First on your elbows, then to your hands, then you can walk out, give them a challenge. It's a nice little game you can do with them, okay? So for that hollow shape, I would start there. Very good question, by the way. Let's come over here. We've done our back handsprings now on the regular floor. I've spotted her, she's going to the push-up position. I can add some speed to it, okay? So same thing. And push-up position. The only thing I do is I actually slow her down now because I don't want it to go too fast. The slant will help her. When I do back handspring more by herself to her feet, that's when I really can let her go and she will snap and do more herself. So let's go to our feet this time. I'm not gonna hold your feet as much. The hand is just controlling and to her feet, okay? So coming to the regular spot for a back handspring on the floor. Come over here. One hand on the back side of her legs, right above the knee pit, the other one on the lower back. This hand doesn't go there until she swings her arms by her ears. Okay, go ahead. Swing. And now I use that hand to flip her legs over. Accelerate the snapping action to her feet, the arch to a hollow, the courbette. Okay, let's do that again. Arms by your ears. Swing and go. Okay? Now I need that speed because I don't only spot a back handspring for regular like standing back handspring, but I want to rebound out of it because I want to teach later on a back tuck. So now I get on my feet and I do the same thing, and I'm gonna spot her bounce, her rebound. Scoot a little bit forward. I reach on the bounce. Okay, so what does that happen, or what happens actually? My hand on the back stays on the back, but she rolls her body over the back side of my hand and my hand goes back flat against her back. The other hand flips the legs over, gets out, gets in the belly, and bounces her. I control that she's standing up on the bounce because that's what is easiest. A straight bounce is easier than when you're in an angle, okay? So let's try that again. And you see my foot, it's very far away because I know she's gonna travel, okay? Snap and bounce. It's a very quick hand motion. This is not something you're gonna learn in one turn. You'll need to practice that as a coach, okay? So now we get to a specific spot. Back handspring on the beam, for example. We have a beautiful line here, but I'm gonna grab the beam over here that we have. Just a simple low beam on the floor. I like it, but I don't like it because you can't really put your hands the way that they most of the time have to be. But we can try it like this. I have to go down and get her at her level. But now I'm gonna go opposite. This right hand that was in there before, that held her ankle if I needed to or accelerated her, is gonna be opposite. I'm gonna go and reach across her back so that when she gets to the handstand, I'm stopping her in the handstand so she can see the beam and step down on the beam, okay? I can probably do it like this. Go ahead. And very softly, I can put her down on her hands. Very softly, I can have her step down. Okay, a lot of control again. I use my legs to lift, not my arms. Okay, my arms actually stay almost the same. They do not go up and down. Maybe a little bit, but not much, okay? So let's do that again. Hand in the back, other hand across, and hold her hips and step down. Okay, a lot of control on these back handsprings for the balance beam. Do we teach it in classes? Not all the time, but you get that 1 or 2 kits that you need to do the advanced skills with. This is one of those. I would never go right on the high beam, practice on the low beam, floor beam, whatever you can do, mats underneath first. Then we would go to the more advanced skills of doing it more by yourself, okay? Okay, so spot at the rebound, spot at the beam. Let's move on to round-off back handspring. So let's move this out of the way. Like I explained, there's a difference between the elite training or the higher level training of USA Gymnastics Junior Olympic program and the Excel program and the TOPS program and the HOPES program, and then you've got your classes. In the elite, it's a bouncing action. In the rec, it's more a bending action. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it a little bit more slow motion than anything else, okay? So we're gonna start off the panel mat with a round off. I want you to stand on the mat, just do a round off and land in the letter S. Okay? Now I don't want that hurdle, I want just step go. Because as soon as she hurdles, she creates too much power, she bounces out of it, she falls. So just arms by your ears, nice and tall, 1 foot in front, and round off. Letter S. And landing short is okay, because that landing short means that I can travel backwards before I jump, okay? Slow motion. So the combination would be round off, back handspring. I just sit on the bottom, she's got a good round off, so I can move on. If the round off goes sideways, then definitely I would not do that, okay? I would make sure that she first fixes her round off before I do anything else. So now let's do round off, back handspring. So stand on the panel mat, arms by your ears. What I do is I do a sandwich grip. Because her round of her belly faces me, I can put my hand on her belly very early, other hand on the back, and then I spot a sandwich grip for the back handspring. Okay? I would not do round-up back handspring if the child or the athlete has no back handspring standing. Standing comes first before I move on to round-up back handspring. Even on the trampoline, I would not start with a round-up back handspring right away. I would first see that she can do a standing back handspring mostly by herself, okay? And then I combine it with a skill just to make it more exciting. Let's try again. Now I'll spot the opposite way. But this way, I have no control on how she lands. If she lands leaning forward or too much backwards, I can still stop her, but forward, I can't save her ankles. So I do the same thing, but I'm spotting later. That's the original way that I had her do the back handsprings when she came more to herself, like in the back handspring, okay? This is good if you want to do multiple back handsprings. So from there, we can go to the wedge and do the same thing down the wedge. I just added speed to it, so I have to be careful. Careful over here as well. So I'm spotting right now, but if they do that by themselves on the panel mat and then go to a wedge, I have to make sure that I put a softer mat here at first, because they're gonna crunch their ankles if they're not used to it. Round up back handspring. Arms by your ears. See how much more power she had and how much longer the back handspring became already? Just by adding a little bit of height that slopes down. This is more than enough for athletes to start with. Don't start from a run. Don't start from a lot of power. Standing is more control than doing it from a run, okay? So really tone it down. So, having done one back handspring, we can go into multiple back handsprings. I can use the panel mat, so I slow it down again. but then she does 2 back handspring. This is the hardest spot for most people, okay? Because you have to move your hands so fast and still walk with the athlete that you have to measure distance and you have to measure your hand placement according to her body shape. Okay, so let's stand on the panel mat again. So I'm gonna do round of 2 back handsprings. Watch my hands, don't do anything silly, just do the same thing as before, okay? See how much control? What I do is hand on the back, flip her legs over. This hand comes out, flips her legs over. This hand goes in for the rebound, okay? She didn't do it, I didn't ask her for it, perfect, okay? Let's try to do it with the rebound. A lot of control, okay? Slow, speed, like the wedge. 1 to 2. If you do 2 back handsprings, there's also more speed involved. So make sure that you build it up to safe levels, okay? Okay, let's go over to front handspring. This time we're starting kneeling down. Our knees are a little bit apart. This used to be a drill of USA Gymnastics. Somehow they took it out, and I love this drill because it teaches you to have your hips forward at the end of the front handspring. So arms by your ears. You're gonna reach backwards, touch the floor, push your hips forward again, and finish nice and tall. Eyes should always be up. We should never look down. We should never bring our arms forward, because if you go forward, your hips go back. You wanna feel this extension over here. Let's try that one more time by yourself. Okay, little challenge, same thing. At the end, she's gonna splash down. Let's do a splash down slow motion. Hips forward and arch, and her heels come up, okay? So now she's gonna reach backwards, touch her hands, sit back up, and splash down, keeping her arms by her ears. Don't have them reach, because then you create again that hollow, okay? So reach, touch, hips, chin, arch, feet. Very nice, okay? Because you want to continue that arch motion in the middle of your front handspring. Let's stand up. You're gonna kick up to a handstand. She's gonna do a front limber. Now I have to guide that front limber, especially with people that are not beginners anymore. This is not beginner skills, this is already more advanced. So we're talking about intermediate to advanced skills. Kick up to a handstand. Now from here, I want her shoulders to go back to the wall and her feet land right there. See how she rocked a little bit? So I want her feet to touch with her shoulders still on this side, and as soon as her feet touch, that's when she pushes her body over. So kick back over, because you're good at this. Now try by yourself, handstand, go over leaning your shoulders back, touch your feet, and stand up. Shoulders, hips, and push up, okay? I like any finish to be on toes with our arms by our ears, okay? Because a front handspring doesn't want to land on heels because it hurts, it gives you a jolt in your back. So let's try that again, and let's finish on toes, reaching for the ceiling. Shoulders first, back, and hips and toes. Beautiful, okay? That's ideal. This you won't see right away in the beginning. This is something that you really have to train and work those details. Who can finish on toes and count till 10? Make it a challenge again for your intermediate and advanced kids, okay? So, another thing for them to understand again is on the landing is being on her toes and chin up, push your hips forward, but not loose. I have to be able to push down because her front handspring should finish like this. So just before she does her front handspring, I can do this so that she feels that shape, okay? Okay, now we're gonna do a power hurdle, kick up to a handstand, fall flat on your back. I'm gonna put this big mat down for you because I want you to land on this mat. The height of the mat is very important. I'll push it out a little bit. It should be about hip height. If it's too high, she's gonna bounce against the mat and go back. A lot of the girls in the beginning will duck their head and sit up. So I have to be there too to control the legs on the landing. So power hurdle, kick up to a handstand. As hard as you can, hard. So I keep her head down, or hands down. I don't want her to look, I want her to keep her head back. Because as soon as she looks, her body's gonna go hollow and land with her feet in front. Bad for your knees, bad for your back because you land on your heels again. It gives that jolt, okay? I want that open. So she has to kick up, keeping her head back, landing flat on her back. Let's try that again. And look back. Very nice. Squeeze your butt, because that's the other part. That's very important. Doing this several times, several practices. They like doing this. They learn how to stay in control. Then I can move on with everything, okay? So now I'm gonna make it plain and simple. I'm gonna use the barrel. Amanda, can you grab the barrel for me? The barrel is nice because it's already in the shape of the arch of the front handspring. Scoot back because we're gonna do the power hurdle and kick up and over. And let the barrel use you a little bit. And then she lands on her feet. Okay, so we notice, hey, this is a little bit low for her. Plain and simple, use a paddle mat. It's okay. I open it up halfway, put the barrel on that, and I've got a higher surface. So I don't need to buy a new barrel. I can just use this. Her hands still go on the floor, and she'll land on her feet probably at the end, okay? Go ahead. Much more comfortable for her. You see already that there's a difference. I think we can even go folding it all the way. As long as I hold it a little bit on the edge and she finishes over the edge. Same thing. Now she finishes in the shape that I want her to do. So I created her shape just by using tools. I didn't have to tell her anything, okay? Of course, people will sit up and they do all kinds of other things, and those people you do have to correct. But go back to your handstand front limb bars because that's where you started teaching a front handspring. This is just more the end result, okay? So now she's done this, she's done the barrel. Now we can go into doing a front handspring. Over the panel mat. There's several ways of doing it. You can start with just kicking up to a handstand and I'm helping her. So stand on the panel mat. You're gonna kick up to a handstand with your hands over here and try to kick as hard as you can. The only thing I do is I grab her wrist, grab her upper back, and I make sure that she's safely going onto her feet. Okay, very plain and simple. She kicks nice and hard, so it's easy. Sometimes you have kids that kicks very slow, so you have to support a little bit more. The more you're away, spotting like this, the harder it is on your back. The closer I am, like you see me almost halfway down the panel mat, the more I can use my arm here, and this is where I'm very strong, and I can push. Okay, so now I'm gonna challenge her. Start off the panel mat, do a power hurdle onto the panel mat, then do your front handspring. I think you can scoot a little bit more back even. And you notice, like, she has a little bit more power, but I'm also helping her to create more power by having her jump onto a higher surface. It doesn't make this part less safe, it stays the same, okay? So that's how you spot for a front handspring for a kid that knows how to do it. If I don't have a kid that knows how to do it, I would spot a little bit different. I would kick up to a handstand and grab her shoulder because she's going very slow, not with the fast motions, with a slow motion, and grab her lower back. Now I can use my legs again to control her. The hand on her shoulder means that the arms could do this, so you gotta be careful that you don't get hit in the face. So my suggestion is to the athlete is keep your arms by your ears at all times. And keep your head a little bit back, neutral or back, okay? So kick up to a handstand, keep your arms by your ears. Hand cups the shoulder, the other arm on the lower back, and I use my leg to support her, okay? Now we're getting more advanced because now she can do it from a little run. So I'm gonna have her start a little bit more back. You can move that beam out of the way. You can run and do a front handspring. Now I have no line over here, And I like to have a line there because then they know where to put their hands, okay? But I know she can do it, so we can imagine a line right here. You wanna be on this line? I'm talking about a line that goes across this way. I want your hands right in front of my knees. I don't want your hands past my knees, okay? Okay, so now I grabbed the wrist the wrong way, actually. I grab like this. And what happens if I grab like this, when she lands, I have no more control. Her arm will come out because my thumb and my fingers are not strong enough. It's the weakest link of the grip. So grab it like a coffee cup, like you're gonna drink a cup of coffee. If you don't like coffee, cup of tea. If you don't like tea, glass of water that you can cup, okay? So go back. This is the safer way to control her landing. Go ahead. Cup the hand, and now I have everything in control, okay? Her arms are staying by her ears too because of that. So all the kids that wanna bring their arms down, it's very hard for them because I hold their arm, okay? Now the most advanced part, which is the last part of our clinic today, is how to do a front handspring and a rebound out of it. I love this technique. Better than waiting, for example, if they do front handspring from tuck, waiting for the front handspring to finish first and then step into spot, because if I do the sandwich grip, then I have control in the bounce and I can flip them later on. We're just doing front handspring bounce, but I want you to scoot back a little bit more. My hand will be on her back, the other hand, so the closest hand to her is gonna be on her back, the other hand's gonna be on her belly, and I would do a rebound. Total control, total direction where I want her later on to go with her front flips if she's gonna do front flips. Not if she's gonna do a step out for a second front handspring, okay? This is really an advanced technique that I still think that all the class teachers should know how to do, because the more you know, the easier it is to do the other stuff, okay? Okay, any questions? Perfect, so that's it for today. Hopefully next month we're starting to do maybe some other skills or maybe some other events. Thank you so much. Good job. Yay.